Welcome back, everybody, to the Dragon's Lair. My name is Wade, and this is my show, Only Lore. Only Lore! In the grimdark of the 41st millennium, there is only lore. So we're doing a really big series about Warhammer 40k lore. Been doing a timeline series. This is the Horus Heresy. We're going to have to split this into two separate videos because there's a lot of information to cover. So this is a ton of the Space Marines lore and everything that's going on there. Okay, so go and see the other episodes. We're just moving along down the timeline. So this is the Horus Heresy. So the period before this was the Great Crusade. There comes a point in the Great Crusade where like most of the job is done. So the Emperor, Big E, that's him right there, says, I'm going to go back to Earth because I got some secrets I'm working on. And he doesn't really tell anybody what he's working on. But what he's really working on is this thing called the Webway Project, which is a way to use the Eldar's fast travel system, which was built by their creators, the old ones. Go back to episode 1 where it talks about the old ones. And so it's to no longer use the warp because the Emperor knows what's in the warp, which is the Chaos Gods. Okay, so the Horus Heresy is a massive civil war, and this is how it happens. So the Horus Heresy is 10,000 years ago. So the where we are in our time in the timeline in current Warhammer 40k, this is 10,000 years ago, and it's all really, in my opinion, kind of kicked off because of the Emperor, because he's being a bad dad. That's just it. I'm just gonna put it out there. He was a bad dad. So most of the factions of Warhammer 40k kind of the things that have defined them to who they are now sort of happened in the last 10,000 years. And the vast majority of all 40k well-documented lore happens at the beginning of the Horus Heresy to this current point in time. So like everything we've been talking about before, there's not nearly as much data, lore, stories, novels as there is from the Horus Heresy to the present day. The Horus Heresy, start to finish, takes about 9 years of in-world time to happen. So Big E is back on Earth, and he puts in place Horus Lupercal. So Horus is the Primarch of the Luna Wolves, and he becomes what's known as the War Master, and he's supposed to finish the Great Crusade. So he basically has the power of the Emperor. But what kind of triggers this whole thing is Lorgar, the Primarch of the Word Bearers. He starts worshiping the Emperor. He's like, Emperor is so great, and we're going to call him a god, and we're going to worship him. And eventually the Emperor finds out. That's Lorgar right there, of the Word Bearers. The Emperor finds out and punishes Lorgar. He doesn't just say stop. He doesn't just say knock it off. He destroys Lorgar's homeworld and destroys the religion that Lorgar is building around him. That's Erebus. We'll get to Erebus in a second. So Lorgar, out of spite and being spurned by the Emperor, his father, who he was deifying, he sets out to discover other gods, other things to worship. And in the process of doing so, he discovers the Chaos Gods. Now, the Chaos Gods already have a problem with the Emperor, because you got to remember there is a secret back alley, hush hush, whisper whisper, that the Emperor siphoned some power from the Chaos Gods to build the Primarchs. I'm not telling you that's 1000% lore. I'm saying that is a thing that is whispered and talked about. So even if it's not true, inside the world of Warhammer 40k, there are some people who whisper that and talk about that. So even it could be true, might not be true. But anyways, and the Emperor is just about to cut the Chaos Gods out of the equation because they'll no longer need the warp when they're using the Webway. So anyways, this sets in motion a bunch of things, because Lorgar sets up Erebus. Erebus is one of his chaplains. And Erebus basically steals this super powerful magical chaos sword called the Anathane. and then that's Lorgar once again. And then Erebus puts it in the hands of a planetary governor who challenges Horus to a duel and wounds Horus. This puts Horus into a coma. It's at this point in time that Erebus, that's Erebus right there, that Erebus steps in and says, "Hey, Luna Wolves, you can't heal your Primarch because he was wounded by this super weird magical sword. How about you take him to this temple that I know about called the Serpent Temple, and we'll use magic there to heal him." Erebus set this whole thing up. It's a Chaos Temple. They go to the Chaos Temple. They do some woo-woo magic on him, okay? And they put him in like a coma. And while he's in that coma, the 4 Chaos Gods and the spirit of Erebus attack him psychically and basically show him false visions of the future and how terrible and bad and everything's going to be. But Horus doesn't know that it's only terrible and bad because he makes it terrible and bad by causing a civil war. They basically lie to him. Okay, they sell him on a lie that he doesn't understand. Horus believes it. And when Horus wakes up, not only is he healed, but Horus is convinced that the Emperor has to be stopped. And right there, he's already corrupted and just goes downhill from there. Okay, so they realize that they won't be able to, like, Horus won't be able to stop the Emperor alone. Okay, so he convinces several of his brothers to follow him. So Lorgar of the Word Bearers is already in on it. Mortarion of the Death Guard, Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children, Portorabo of the Iron Warriors, Angron of the World Eaters, Altharius of the Alpha Legion, and Comrade Kurz. They all buy in. That's them right there, with the exception of the Thousand Sons of Magnus, which shows up in a second. We'll get there. So they understand that a ton of their Marines won't rebel. So these evil Primarchs are now in on it, but they know that a ton of the Marines won't rebel. So they take 2 steps. One, they purge their own ranks. So they order a bunch of their Marines down onto a planet. It's Istavan 3. And once they get down there, they tell them, there's Xenos down there to fight. Go fight these Xenos. And there was Xenos down there. But anyways, all the Marines from the legions that would become the traitor legions that they knew would not turn, they order them down there. And once they're down there on the planet, they virus bomb the planet. Now, if you know anything about 40k weapons, virus bombs are one of the worst things that mankind has created. So they virus bomb the planet. And if that wasn't bad enough, they then ignite the virus clouds. So basically they gas the planet and then they set the gas on fire. Now there are some individuals that survive this, but it's like 3 people total in recorded 40k history. So there are a few survivors, but basically they purge the Marines from the newly traitor legions that would not rebel. Then number 2, they go to Istavan 5 and they call for reinforcements. They say, "Hey, help us out." And Salamanders show up and Raven Guards show up and Iron Hands show up, and they all descend on the planet to help their brothers, and then all the traitor legions turn on them. And this is what's known as the Drop Site Massacre. So basically, most of the Salamanders die, almost all of the Iron Hands, and almost all of the Raven Guard die. Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands is murdered. So the loyal Primarchs are now 1 down. And the evil Marines basically had struck first. So like I said, I'm going to split this into 2 different videos because there's just so much information here to go over. So this is where you get Erebus did nothing wrong, and I am Lorgar, and stuff like that. Lorgar did nothing wrong. This is where you see those memes talking about I am Erebus, and Erebus did nothing wrong. Bullcrap. That's what Erebus is famous for. And Lorgar kind of set this whole thing up, used Erebus. The Chaos Gods are manipulating everybody. And at this point in the Horus Heresy, Horus is now evil, and the evil Marines have struck first. We here at the Dragon's Lair understand that you could spend your time anywhere. You could get your lore from anywhere. And we're just super happy that you choose to spend your time here with us at the Dragon's Lair.